Hello, and welcome to our presentation on the Community Internship Program for the 2018-2009 academic year. My name is Christina Martinez, and I'm the Director of Career Development. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about one of our signature programs known as the Community Internship Program. So hopefully I'm a familiar voice. I believe I did a webinar earlier in the fall term, so hopefully I'm familiar. I thought it would be fun to share a picture of myself and my daughter when we were visiting Santa. So again, you could kind of put a face with a voice. So let's go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about the Community Internship Program. So what we're going to talk about today is our signature program that is managed through the Career Development Office, known as Community Internship Program, and also known as CIP. CIP is open to all students, no matter their major, discipline, or classification. It truly is a program that has some great diversity. Just an example, I have two students here who have gone through the Community Internship Program, which is Claire and Lucas. Both of them have graduated now and moved on, but Claire started the Community Internship Program this summer after her freshman year. She really had a passion for photography, but was looking to major in business and wanted to see if there would be some opportunity that she could put her passion and her area of study together and really kind of explore what the possibilities were. And she was able to do that at one of our local art foundations here in Kerrville, where she served as an intern with the Hill Country Arts Foundation at the Point Theater. And that really helped her in her journey of really defining where she wanted to go and what she wanted to do and how she could combine her passion and areas of interest also with her interest in her academics. Now Lucas was one of our students that he participated in the program between his junior and senior year. And he was a sports management major, and he was able to work with a local organization through the Salvation Army, which is our Croc Center, which is a recreational facility, community center. And so he was able to really incorporate his sports management experience from the classroom into an organization that involved a lot of that activity. He was really able to really narrow down his areas of interest in what he wanted to do, in which that actually led him to pursue a master's in kinesiology to further his education in that arena. So with the Community Internship Program, it really does provide that diversity for students to really, one, explore or really define their areas of interest while also acquiring the experience that they're seeking. So let's kind of talk a little bit more, provide you a little more background on the Community Internship Program. So the Community Internship Program was established in the spring of 1996. It actually began through a grant, which was known as the Houston Endowment Fund, that helped support this program. So it allowed us to have the funding to assist students to engage in meaningful internships. Then what it was really focusing on is really providing students the experience, so expanding the knowledge for students in acquiring real-world experience, while also serving a particular community, which is the nonprofit community. As we know, nonprofits are short on staff and they're also short on funding just because of how they operate. And so when creating this program, we thought that this would allow both sides to be recipients of great benefits, such as students were acquiring experiences in the real world and nonprofits were acquiring students with experience, eager to learn, that could help them with staffing and would not cost them anything other than time. So that's really kind of where the Community Internship Program has evolved. So you can tell this program has been around for quite a while, and just every year it gets better and we strengthen it. But this has been probably one of our dominant programs, like I said earlier, our signature programs that we've had. And so students have really gained a lot from it, but then community members, especially with nonprofit agencies, are so appreciative of the talent that our students are able to contribute and provide. So that gives you a little more insight of where our community internship program has come from and now how it's evolving and where it's going. Let's kind of look at what the purpose of CIP is. So the purpose of CIP is to provide students with real-world experience while also serving community. So being that experience is the number one quality that employers are seeking in today's applicants, this is a great way for students to acquire that experience. And also, the nonprofit community is an excellent arena to acquire that experience due to the operations and resources and the administration that's involved with nonprofits. A lot of administrators that are operating these nonprofits come from a wealth of knowledge. A lot of them do come from the private sector, so they're able to provide some great insight and experience to students and really serve as mentors. And that's something that our students really do appreciate. You'll see two students here. This is Stacy, she was interning at a children's shelter. She was an education major. So this really kind of gave her a different aspect of teaching and working with students at different levels, and knowing that it's not just dealing with the classroom experience, it's also dealing with that student, because nowadays teachers are also social workers and helping the student in all areas. So this really gave her a different type of insight, which she felt really made her a stronger educator as she went into the field of education. We also have Asiel. Asiel came to us as a marketing major. He graduated with his marketing degree, but he kind of got a different spin on his internship experience. He actually interned at a local chamber of commerce, really as a marketing intern, and really found out that wasn't what he wanted to do. He didn't want to have to deal with all the different aspects of marketing, and really found that it confirmed his calling to go into a different arena. And so now he's actually in seminary school and getting ready to graduate here fairly soon. And so the CIP program really helps you define where you want to go. It may be in the field that you're interning at, or it may not be in that field. And those are all good things. Those are all positive results to acquire that experience, because with experience, that is how you're able to really determine where you want to go. So again, another purpose for CIP is to help students receive some kind of clarification, I guess you can say, to an extent. So now that you have some background on CIP, let's go a little deeper and look into the program. CIP has two terms, a summer term and an academic term. Depending on the term that you select or are considering will determine the type of compensation you'll receive. So let's take a look at the summer term. Now, the summer term is probably our most popular term, and part of that is because at times students won't take school, so they can really commit to an internship and really give their undivided attention to that. So that's probably why that is our popular term, and also probably the compensation, which I'll talk to you a little bit about. The summer term is 10 weeks long, usually runs from the beginning of June to the beginning of August. Within those 10 weeks, 150 intern hours will need to be completed, which averages about to 15 hours a week. So the compensation for the summer term is $1,200 tuition grant, which gets applied to your fall tuition, and we provide on-campus housing in one of our 2-bedroom, 2-bath units here on campus for summer. So that is also a big plus, and probably why students really enjoy that. Now, with summer housing, we just provide the housing. There's not dining services on our campus, so that's the reason why we have students in apartments, because there's a kitchen which will allow you to cook your meals and so forth. Also, the tuition grant of $1,200, that is something that gets applied to your tuition, so there is never any monetary exchange. So when you go to your internship site, your supervisor isn't going to provide you a weekly paycheck because your compensation comes straight from the university, and we provide that, which then again applies to your fall tuition. Now, the academic term, that is specifically for the fall and spring. So we range anywhere from 2 to 5 students that would participate in the fall to spring term. That's a 12-week term each semester. So it's 120 hours are required per semester to complete as far as your intern hours. So that ends up to being a total of 240 hours that you would complete during an academic year. You receive a $1,000 tuition grant. Again, will be applied to your tuition each semester. And with this one, there is no housing provided because that is kind of the big difference between the two terms that we have available. So now let's talk a little bit about the requirements for CIP. So you have to have completed 30 hours. Now for first year students, so long as by May 30 hours have been completed and earned, and that means earned, you would still be eligible to go ahead and apply. You must have an overall GPA of a 2.5. Look at GPAs of all of our students that we select to be in the program. Come the end of May, we'll confirm GPAs to make sure they meet the requirement. Those that do not, then we would have to terminate them from the program. But for the most part, I don't think that's really happened because our students that apply have pretty strong GPAs and they're able to hold that 2.5 or above. So that's just something to look at. Also, you must be in good disciplinary standing. So we get with the judicial board team to make sure there's been no incidents of issues that may concern us because we are having students go out into community. So we want to make sure that students are portraying Schreiner and are really serving as ambassadors in a positive light. So that's really important to us. Now, another thing you'll need to do is complete your Jobs for Mountaineer profile. You all would have access to through Schreiner 1. If you go into Schreiner 1 and you don't even need to log in, if you look at the resource area that is on the right-hand side, you can click on Jobs for Mountaineers and you'll need to create your profile. That's also where in Schreiner 1, you can have access to the CIP application. So the CIP application is there. You can click on that link and fill out that application. And then you'll also need to submit a resume, which you're going to need to upload into Jobs for Mountaineer. So the Jobs for Mountaineer, your Jobs for Mountaineer account is really important. So you want to make sure your profile is completely filled out and that you have your resume uploaded. Now the CIP application is online, so you'll just submit it online and we will get those results. Now you will also need to submit 2 letters of recommendation. Those will need to be hard copy. For those of you that maybe have individuals that are going to be submitting letters of recommendation that are not local, you can have them submit their letter to me via email, and it needs to be in a PDF document with their signature on that. That just helps to make sure that there was no changes or anything like that. So I'll receive those 2 hard copies that we will include in your packet. And also you must have your own form of transportation because you'll need to go to these facilities on your own. And so that's really important that you do have your own vehicle. So now let's take a look at the application timeline. So applications will become available on the 29th. And again, you'll be able to access that through Schreiner 1 under resources. Look for the CIP application link, click on that, fill that out completely, submit that to us. Remember, along with your application, you'll need to make sure your jobs for Mountaineer profile is complete. You've uploaded a resume, and we get 2 letters of recommendation. So there is actually more than just the application that we will need. All of that information will be due Friday, February 23rd. We will not receive any late submissions. Part of that is because this is a very competitive program. We can receive up to 40 applications and we only have 20 spots. So in fairness, we really we really hold strong to our deadlines that we have. All applications that meet the timeline, the deadline of the 23rd, will be reviewed, and then beginning March 1st is when we will extend invitations for interviews, and we'll begin the interview process. So all those initial applications that we receive will be going through an evaluation process. If they make the first cut, then they'll be invited for interviews, and we will go from there. Then what will happen is March 23rd is when we're looking to have done selection. We will send out notification to those students that have been accepted into the program, and that is for both terms, both for the summer and the academic term. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what the timeline looks to apply for CIP. I wanted to take this opportunity to go over some frequently asked questions, just so we can give you some insight, because I know you may have some questions, but hopefully I can cover some of them through this, and we can kind of go from there. So let's start with that first question. What type of organizations are interns placed at? Actually, placement is really led by the student, and what that means is based on what the type of experience the student is seeking, that is where we start looking at organizations that may match up with that student. In the past, like I said, I'd mentioned we've had children's shelters, we've had Chamber of Commerce offices, we've had city offices. So long as they're a nonprofit agency, they're eligible to host a student. So if a student doesn't actually know where they want to go, what we do is we invite agencies to participate in our program, and we require them to provide us a job description and kind of their intent of how they would be able to manage an intern. So based on that, we're able to give that information to the students that are selected to be in the program, and then they can review and decide who they want to interview with, which agencies they'd like to interview with to see about securing placement for them. So there's a number of different types of organizations in a number of different industries, from the health to the psychology area, to working in the business operations and so forth. So there really is a lot. Let's go to the next question. Do interns get to select where they want to intern? I kind of answered it a little bit. You do, to a certain extent. If you know of an agency that fulfills the nonprofit requirement and they're willing to provide us a submission form as far as a job description and kind of what their intent is for an intern, I review that, then we can approve that. But for the most part, we help students identify placement. But if a student has a specific agency that they've already developed a relationship and would like to be placed, we can do that so long as the organization signs an agreement form with us. Then we can confirm that. Let's move on. Is it manageable to do a CIP internship and school? This question we get a lot. This really pertains more to the summer, because some students think, well, I could take a summer class, I can do an internship, and I can do a part-time job. We've had students do that, and they've been barely successful, if that makes any sense. That is just a lot to put on your plate, especially for the summer term. I would say even for the academic term. So you really need to know how to manage your time appropriately. Now, if you're interested in the summer term, maybe taking a class and doing the internship, that's probably good. Or doing the internship and doing a part-time job, that's probably more manageable. For the academic term, I would also recommend maybe if you're taking a course load of 18 hours in the internship, that's probably too much. If you're looking at a course load of 12 to 15 hours, that might be manageable in doing an internship during the academic year. So you really need to look at what time do you have available to do this internship. Because not only are you going to be doing the hours, you also will have to do reports, submit reports to us, which is called the learn process. And so there's a packet of essays that you'll have to be doing throughout the duration of the internship. So you have to allocate time for that too. So let's look at this next question. Will dining services be available during the summer term? I kind of addressed this earlier in the presentation. So dining services is not available. So you would be responsible for taking care of your own meals. If you decide to be on campus to be able to do that, you're going to have to do your own. For our students that are commuters and decided, no, I don't want the housing benefit, then that's something you just don't have to worry about, and you're okay with that. How will I receive my compensation? That, again, I addressed earlier. Again, there's not going to be any monetary exchange. So no one is going to be giving you a weekly paycheck. The compensation that you will receive is going to be done through our office that goes directly to your account. And so it is going to be your responsibility, especially for the summer term, that if you need spending money, then you need to save appropriately or budget appropriately to make sure you have spending money for groceries and so forth during the duration of your internship. So that $1,200 is just going to get applied to your account if that's for the summer term. For the academic term, those $1,000 per semester is going to get applied to your term, to your account. I'm sorry. It will be applied to your account. Is it mandatory that all intern hours are completed? Yes, it is mandatory. If they are not, then what I end up doing is I'll have to go back to financial aid, and we will have to look at reevaluating your award. So if you only completed half, then you may only get half the compensation of the award. So it is really important that you complete all that is required as an intern, else we'll have to go back and prorate your compensation. Are completing the intern hours all that is required for the program? As I mentioned earlier, the hours are not the only thing that you are required to do. As an intern, you will be required to do the hours by submitting time cards. You will do the essays that are required through what we call the learn process, so submission of that. You'll be required to update your resume after the internship. You will also be required to provide thank you notes both to the supervisor and the donors that help fund this program. So there are some other things that are required once you're an intern in the program. What is all required to apply for CIP? And so that, again, I want to make sure we're clear that the application is not the only thing. You actually will have a packet that will develop because you will submit your application. I will get letters of recommendation. I will be pulling your resume out of Jobs for Mountaineer, and your Jobs for Mountaineer profile will be evaluated to make sure you've answered all of the questions and so forth. All of those things will determine whether you move forward in the interview process. So there are a lot of steps to applying to the program, but they're very easy, and they complement each other, if that makes sense. So as I review, I'll be able to have this nice packet that I'll be looking at. So I kind of have to do most of the work of putting it all together. So those are the things that you need to take into consideration: the application, creating your Jobs for Mountaineer profile if you haven't already done so, uploading your professional resume, and then making sure those letters of recommendation get to me. Okay? So what I'd like to tell you is just really I hope that you found this presentation informative and would consider the community internship program. Here's a photo of our last class of CIP interns. As you can see, there's a lot of variety that we have. A lot of them come from different areas of interest that they were looking at, from communication design majors to psychology majors to biochem majors, I think I said psych majors, We had exercise science majors. So we had a lot of different students from a lot of different backgrounds as far as academics that all were able to engage in an internship this past summer and are currently engaging this academic year. And usually we do a debriefing at the end of each term to really see how our students, what their experience was in the internship. And a lot of them refer to it being life-changing. It really got them excited about getting into their field and wanting to get more experience. And again, I have students here in this photo that are seniors, that are in their sophomore year. So it really does provide some diversity for them. So it is a very positive experience, and a lot of students recommend it. So over the years, this program has just grown, and we wish we could accommodate all of our students, but unfortunately, due to funding, it does limit us to that opportunity. But it is a great experience. So what I thought, I'd let you know that I know you received a lot of information, so if later on you have any questions, feel free to contact me either via email, which you see my email address down there, cimartinez@schreiner.edu, or you can give me a call at 830-792-7281. So it's 830-792-7281. And you can give me a call, and we can go over any specific questions that you may have. I really hope that you do consider this program. If it's not this semester, then possibly next term. Every year, our recruitment is always that last week in January is when applications go live. And so if you're thinking maybe you want to wait till next semester or next year to look at the 2019-2020 year, we could definitely do that. That sounds really funny, right? Going that far. Ooh, I don't even want to think about that. But anyway, so hopefully you received a lot of information. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me.